I get loads of people reaching out to me about how do they actually start their website. They want to get started with SEO. They've seen my tutorials on how to get serious SEO traffic and sales. But question number one is, what about the actual website? You need the right hosting, the right website builder, and these are really quite simple. So loads of people reach out to me saying, I'm thinking of going with Wix or Squarespace. And while those are perfectly good platforms for certain use cases, I do not recommend them for SEO. Now, remember that these platforms have got really aggressive ad budgets. They're not the cheapest platforms in the world, and therefore, because of that, they can invest heavily in advertising. So I get battered all the time with adverts for Wix and Squarespace. But the problem is, they're really nice drag and drop builders. They make building a website really easy. People still have the belief that you have to know how to code in order to build a website, but it's absolutely not true. Now, yeah, Wix and Squarespace do make it very easy to build a drag and drop website. The fact is, you can do that with other platforms as well. Now, the downside with these platforms is because you're trapped into their system, basically. So they're very difficult to customize, very difficult to do anything more advanced, more custom. And for SEO purposes, again, you're basically locked into their ecosystem, which in theory should be really good, but there's always this idea of if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. These websites are trying to serve everyone, basically. So they're not going to have the best speed, the best SEO optimization, because they're catering to all sorts of different use cases. So from an SEO perspective, I know most of the top SEOs I have in my network will actually refuse to work with Wix, simply because it's so difficult to actually go in and make the changes that are required. And the Wix platform itself is just not really built in the best way for it. So I always recommend WordPress. WordPress is open source, very customizable. You can basically do whatever you like with it. So just to hammer this home, let's go and have a look at some actual search results from major companies and what they're built on. So I just went to the best credit cards search results because that's a competitive search. Forbes is at the top. If we view the page source, if I search WP, which means WordPress, then you can see loads of WP is WP content. So Forbes is on WordPress. Let's go back. NerdWallet. Do view page source. There we go. So it seems to be quite heavily modified, but we can see nerdwallet.com/blog/WP content. Points guy. Now, the Points guy might sound like a small hobby blogger. They're actually a massive company. Nothing wrong with that, but always interesting. There we go. WP content. So they're on WordPress. So we're at 3 out of 3 so far. moneyusnews.com. Let's have a go. View page source. Nothing for this one, it seems. Okay, so that's looking like a custom build. So you get the idea that major enterprises, they can afford a custom build. But other than that, more traditional blogs, media sites, they all use WordPress. I faced this story myself working with a insurance startup. This is a story I bring up quite regularly. So they started in 2016, but you can see they were barely getting any organic traffic. Now they were using a sort of high-level enterprise content management system. They needed external consultants who were well-versed in how that ecosystem worked in order to make any edits. So if you wanted a new button, new page, they had to contact that consultant to get that sorted. And performance-wise, it was very slow, loads of problems with it. So I finally persuaded them to switch to WordPress, and I took it upon myself. I spent a week, hardcore, all hours a day, visually cloning their website into WordPress. But from then on, absolute costs were minimum. So I think they were spending, the initial build was something like 30 to 50 grand for that custom build. And there's a very significant ongoing license fee that was part of that. And this was a website that didn't even work very well. So remember, enterprise level software might sound great, but in reality, they're still businesses and they're relying on corporate inefficiencies to fail to give you good service. So in this case, zero content, migrated them to WordPress, then started actually doing proper SEO work with them. So that was content plus link building, and then it took off. So they went from spending 10 grand a month on ads and selling nothing to making 50 grand a month with zero ad spend. So you can see their organic traffic value, so the cost of that traffic via paid ads would be $20,000 a month. They're getting that for free through SEO. So people hear me say this and say, great, I'm going to build a WordPress website. And they go to wordpress.com, where they basically say you can start for free, and then it's $20 a month, something like that. But the fact is, do not go with wordpress.com. So this gets very complicated. There's wordpress.org, which is free open source software. There's wordpress.com, which is that software applied to more of a for-profit business. And this is basically like a competitor to Wix, Squarespace, all of those, website in a box. So the idea is you get domains, hosting, all of that included. But again, you get all those shortfalls in terms of this is nowhere near as customizable and flexible as plain old WordPress.org. So WordPress.org is just open source software. We search WordPress.org, download. You can see here, you can just go in and download this software. Priceless and also free. Now, personally, I wouldn't actually download it manually here because you can actually get a hosting plan which enables you to install WordPress with one click. I know certainly myself when starting out, when I started talking about getting a server and installing software on the server, that gets quite terrifying, frankly. And you do think, can't I just get the .com and pay 10 quid a month? You will also notice that once you start getting into the realm of WordPress hosting, that's a very aggressive market. So if I just search WordPress, we've got getflywheel.com, we've got WP Engine. So WP Engine's a very popular host, but they are quite expensive. And to an extent, you get what you pay for. They do a very good service for that. But honestly, you can achieve so much with very cheap hosting. So they also have really aggressive affiliate programs. So we look at the CPC for WordPress, that's $4, which means these people are spending about $4 per click just on the word WordPress to try and get you to buy their hosting. Hosting is incredibly valuable because if they can sign you up for $100 a month, something like that, or a big enterprise, and you scale up into a big enterprise, people don't really move hosting that much. So there's a very long lifetime value there. So be very careful when any developer recommends a certain hosting or affiliate blog posts, YouTubers recommend certain hosting packages. I received a outreach email just the other day saying, love your YouTube, would you like to promote our hosting? So I said, sure, add me to the program. I can explain the benefits of your hosting. But I can't deny that I personally use very cheap basic hosting and it works for me. So I've actually had to go into my actual affiliate network ShareASale to go and find some commissions, but WP Engine $35 to $200, web hosting pad $70 per sale, data hosting solutions $30 per sale, $150 per sale, and these are all quite standard. Now, if you do want to go with, I'm going to be a hypocrite here and say if you do want to go with premium hosting that's actually going to save you a lot of hassle and work really, really well, then I do recommend WPX, and this is consistently recommended across the industry. So I will leave an affiliate link in the description below. They're quite hard to find because WPX is actually the name of a van company or something like that. WPX Delivery Solutions. So quite often I recommend this brand and I can't even find the right URL. So they do have an affiliate program. It's not actually a very high paying one, but this is consistently recommended as one of the best SEO hosting companies out there. But for my purposes, I'd actually just go with Namecheap. So for hosting, they've got shared hosting that starts at about $10 per month. It's actually $162 per month. I got that wrong. So shared hosting isn't the best in the world, but it's good just to get started. You can always change hosting. It's not that difficult. Most hosts will actually include free migration because they want that lifetime value. So if you wanted to start off with a cheap hosting plan like this, you could then 10 years down the line sign up with WPX and they will migrate your website across for you. So loads of benefits here. You get domains hosted, mailboxes. You can host your site and email very cheaply. Same thing with domains. I use Namecheap for all my domains, simply because they're the best value on the market. So if I search for roofing in Dagenham, then I'm only interested in .coms generally, and you can see I can get a .com domain for about $10 per year. Now there are basically set prices for what domains should cost based on their top level domains, so .com, .builders, .org. So you can see they do vary a little bit, but generally you only want to spend $10 for a domain. You shouldn't really be paying much more than that. Again, in the corporate world, I saw one company that was basically using their chosen provider of domain names, and the domains were costing $70 per year. In fact, £70, I think, so more like $100 per year just to renew these domain names, which I could have registered for $10. So be very careful about some of these basically legitimate scams. There's nothing wrong with making a margin, but there are companies out there that are basically profiting on ignorance on the grounds that they say they do premium hosting and domains, and this is the only place you can get it. Well, you can probably get it for 10-20% of the cost somewhere else. So watch out for that. Now, once you're set up and once you've bought your domain through Namecheap and you've got hosting through Namecheap, you'll then get what gets called cPanel. And this is basically how you can control your server. So first, we need to actually update our DNS settings. This is what points your domain name at your hosting. I'm trying to launch a website around AI and ChatGPT, so I've got gptfreed.com. Now, if you go to domain list, you can find your domain there. What we want to do is go to manage. Now here we have DNS settings. So you have name servers and advanced DNS. If you're using a separate host, like WPX or WP Engine, then this is where you go in to point that domain name to that hosting. But if you're using Namecheap hosting, all you need is to select the Namecheap web hosting DNS. And it's simple as that. So then you can go to your hosting list and then click go to cPanel, and that will then take you to your server. Now, cPanel is very flexible. It's basically like a portal that enables you to manage your hosting without having to use like a remote desktop VPN type situation. So I don't use pretty much any of this. File manager sometimes, email accounts I use, but crucially we want the WordPress manager. But before we do that, we actually need to basically put the domain into cPanel. So for this, we go to domains, which is here. Clicked create a new domain. Now it's important here to make sure you get the right document root, because I've got loads of different websites on the same hosting. So I don't actually want to share the document root, because then it's basically like having multiple websites on the same website. I don't fully understand it myself, but I know I need to untick this box. Otherwise, it all goes wrong. My domain basically doesn't exist. So we're doing gptfreed.com. Right, this has already been added. Share document root, nope. So we don't want that. Apparently this has already been done, so you just submit, and that will then add the domain to WordPress. That will then add the domain to cPanel. Now I've gone into the Softaculous WordPress manager. It's quite easy to see within cPanel now. You used to have to dig around a bit for it, but the new update is just on the left-hand side. And I clicked on install. So now we can select our domain from this drop. So there we go, I've selected GPT Freed. I do generally put HTTPS. Depending on what you subscribe to, you might get a free SSL automatically. If not, then you can simply go through the steps to put your domain on Cloudflare, and then you'll get free SSL anyway. So don't get too carried away when hosts are always saying you can get free SSLs with this. You can get a free SSL, no problem at all. So site name, GPT Freed, maybe free description in this case. Stick with whatever username they give you. I'm going to change that once this goes live. Now for plugins, you won't have this yet, but I've created a standard set of plugins that I like to install with every build. So I've got Thirsty Affiliates, which basically lets me create affiliate links. It means I can put all my affiliate links into the website and then create a redirect. So instead of some really long URL with a tracking link, it could just be gpt3.com/Jarvis, something like that, and that would then redirect to Jarvis AI. It's not even called Jarvis anymore, is it? But then Rank Math SEO. So for SEO plugins, you've generally got a choice between Yoast and Rank Math. They're the biggest ones. Personally, I go with Rank Math. They both work. WP Code. This basically allows you to insert code into the header. You can do it manually. I just prefer to use a plugin because it's easier. Elementor Website Builder. Now this allows you to basically turn your WordPress website into more of a Wix or a Squarespace, where you can just drag and drop elements. So it makes it very easy. You don't have to stick with the standard templates they give you. Matchpack I recommend for speed. Yarp, yet another related post plugin. It's important that when you produce all this SEO content, they're all linked together contextually. So I found yet another related post plugin just adds a few text links at the bottom that are very closely related. It's got a very good matching algorithm. So I just like to do that out of the box. So as soon as I put content on there, it's all got some interlinking already without me having to do anything. Surfer, I tend to copy and paste. I don't really use the WordPress plugin much. And importable pages. Post type. Oh, yes, the CSV importer. So I use that for bulk autoblogging.ai content. I've got a video on that. And then themes, I tend to use GeneratePress and Cadence. When you use Elementor, I tend to basically build my own theme anyway. But underlying that, you still need a theme of some sort, and I like to go for something fast. So Cadence and GeneratePress are both good for that. And that's pretty much all we need. So we click install, and then hopefully it all goes through. It does sometimes fail. There are various reasons for that, but in most cases it should go through fine. There we go. Now the beauty of using something like cPanel is you can simply log in from your dashboard. So we saw the username and password there. Ideally, you should note that down. You can always change it from within cPanel as well. So this is the important thing about cPanel is you are on the server. So assume you've got members of staff or something like that. One way or another, you'll get locked out. Maybe someone's been malicious and changed your password, something like that. If you have access to the server, you can override that. So it's important you keep your actual hosting here secure. So use your domain registrar and you can log in that way. There is a way you can log into cPanel directly with a username and password. That's up to you. Maybe don't share that with your team. So if I go back, I can now log in automatically. So my site's now live here. Only got basic theme, but I can now just log in here. You can also have all these automatic options. So WordPress plugins, I tend to automatically update them. Themes, yep, automatic. Obviously, you want search engine visibility. I don't really touch most of this. Generally, I think the only thing I'd be concerned about updating automatically is major updates like WordPress itself updates, because that's the kind of thing that can break your site. So we can just log in here. You can also manage users. So if you do have a team, you can assign them their own logins here. But for now, we can just log in. So now we're in here. One of the first things I recommend you do, and I always forget this, go to settings and permalinks, because annoyingly, the default WordPress installation includes the day and name in your URLs. So sometimes I'll start with a small business client and all their URLs are like this. And now not only does it not look great, it looks very long. It's got, it's not very good if your posts have got 2019 in the heading when you're trying to look up to date. But also, URLs actually improve with age. This gets a bit complicated. I talk about it more in my other videos, but basically, content ages like a fine wine. So if you have a URL you created 4 years ago with content, that URL is going to rank really, really well in Google now. So when you first create a URL with content, it takes about 3 to 6 months generally to start getting rankings. The peak, the average position 1 result in Google, is about 2 to 3 years old. So you need to be really careful when you actually create these URLs, because if you change them, then that aging process is overwritten. Google sees a new URL, so you've got to start that aging process again. I had a dental client who, before they started with me, they had a rebrand with an agency, and they had a URL structure that was perfectly sensible. It was like /services/dental implants. Perfectly good. But this agency had a standard template they rolled out for all their clients. So it then became treatment/dental implant. And because of that, all their traffic tanked. They had really good rankings, but they had to slowly accumulate those rankings again. So I try not to get people to worry about this. If you've got URLs that aren't great, chances are you're best off just keeping them. It's not a massive issue. But when you first launch a website like this, you want to go with post name so that whatever your title is, that goes into the URL. And hopefully your title is keyword rich. And that way you don't get all this date rubbish. And then we just save changes at the bottom. So right now, this website looks pretty terrible. And this is where most people get stuck with WordPress, because they're saying, I want an image here, I want a nice form here and testimonials. And you can't really do that within standard WordPress. So that's why we use Elementor. So I've actually got Elementor Premium, but for now, let me show you how to use Elementor Free just to create a basic landing page. So I went to Page, Create New. Now there's a difference between posts and pages in WordPress. Generally, if you have kind of static content like a sales page, a landing page, location, something like that, about us, then you want a page. If you've got something that's a bit more bloggy, anything that's like a blog post, that can go in posts, because posts have a few extra features like categories, tags, things like that. You don't get those with pages. And you could still build a blog with pages, but it definitely helps to use posts. The annoying thing is you can't then change pages to posts unless you actually recreate them manually. So you could physically take your page, copy and paste it into a post, delete the old page, use the same URL for the blog post, and that's one way you can change that. So it's not set in stone, and that way to Google, URL hasn't changed, but for WordPress, the page has become a post. You then get categories, tags, etc. But again, it's just something to bear in mind at the beginning. It can be a little overwhelming at first. So pages, static sort of structural things, so privacy policy, about us, that sort of thing. But if it's businesses in location or how to hire the best roofing company, something like that, that should go as a blog post. So this is a page. Now we go to Edit with Elementor. Now here, I'm just going to create a home page and then reset the current home page to this page. Now, obviously this looks rubbish and you think, how do I get rid of this? And if you're adding headings and stuff, it all goes into this box. How do I fix that? So first of all, we go to the little gear down here that says settings, and we want page layout. Currently it's set to default, which means we've got this WordPress theme in there already. And therefore there are little fields within that WordPress template, and it's only let us edit within those. So with page layout, we can actually say, get rid of the standard WordPress template. We're going to break the rules. You can do Elementor full width, which is probably what I recommend most of the time, which means the header stays as it is, but you can then edit the full width. But you can even do Elementor canvas, where you have complete freedom. So if you're just building a single page website, this is probably how I would do it. So you can put in your logos and everything like that. But for now, let's go with full width, because we want to create a separate header so that that header gets applied to all our pages. So for any sort of company, you probably want something like a get quote button here. We create this bit separately and it will stick to the top of every single page we create. So for now, we just want to create the home page. Now you can do this manually like this. So let's create a layout. If we do, just move Loom out of the way. If we do 2 columns, we can put an image there. We can put a title there. Then within Elementor, you've got all these preset features you can use. Now, most of these are locked because I'm on the free version. Elementor Pro is not expensive. But for a basic website, you can simply create images and text just like this. And if you're using separate tools, like maybe a Calendly booking form or something like that, you could integrate that here as well. So buttons are very good. You can make that button look look however you want. So do get quote, let's make it extra large, into the center. So let's do Dave's Roofing. I can go to style, and this editor is the same for basically every element on the page, whether it's the image, headings, text. You can go in, change the color, change the font. So just go in and have a play around. If you're serious about building a big website, then I recommend don't edit all this within Elementor. If you go to the lines at the top here and go to site settings, you can basically create the whole hierarchy of your site. So like the brand kit. So globally, you can set your colors, primary, secondary, text, accent, set your fonts. So I might decide that my primary font, I want this weird italic one, but at least we can see it. Update. For text, we can do, again, something distinguished. This weird one. Update. So now if we go back to Elementor, we can see any text uses that text. If I now add in other elements, that's also using the font I set for primary headings. So depending whether it's a H1, H2, this is just like a hierarchy of formatting, basically. So you want one H1 on the page. In this case, it doesn't really work for GPT-3, but if I were doing Dave's Roofing Company, I would want that to be the title of the page. Therefore, it's a H1. So that's under content. Now we might then have a section underneath that, which is a subsection, prices. I'd make that a H2. And then we have plain text here. So again, you can play around with that. So you can set all the colors, font sizes globally, should you wish to. It's generally faster just to go in and do it, but that means you then got to recreate it for every page. Whereas if you're building a big website, if you set them all globally, by going to the lines, then site settings, then every page you create will have a consistent style. So longer term, that's much easier. So next, I just want to briefly wade into blogs. So it's a good idea to have blogs on your homepage so they get discovered and get indexed by Google. Okay, I'm a bit out of the loop because I've been using Premium for so long, but actually if you dig down to the bottom of the Elementor panel, there's much more of the free posts there, widgets rather. So you can have lists there, service 1, you can change the icon, then what else have we got? Menu anchor, that's actually quite useful. So if you wanted to change this to a jump link, so you might have a form at the bottom of the page. If you click that and it jumps down to the bottom of the form, I'm sure you've seen that around the internet. You can do that with a menu anchor. So you put the anchor down there, call it quote, and then if we make this a link, and you put the hash key in, and then the name of the anchor link. So we do get quote, and you see it jumps down like that. Recent posts, there we go. Now, annoyingly, the WordPress will also automatically upload a post called Hello World. Just go in and delete that. Now, this isn't great. You can't really customize the appearance of this, which is unfortunate. However, if you do get the Elementor Premium, then you get a really nice post widget that you can use there. Just starting out, you're not too concerned about making it look perfect, so you can do a pretty decent job up here and then link out to all your blog posts here, and that will allow Google to actually go in and see those blog posts. So at least you can just get the ball rolling there. But generally, I would recommend Premium. So if you look at the pricing page, click the link below to get the best deal. But Essential Plan, 1 Pro website, $59 per year. All my clients, I'm happy to give access to my agency plan, just because I've got hundreds of licenses that I don't even use. But $59 a year, absolute bargain, gives you full customization options. So if you think compared to the cost of something like a Wix or a Squarespace, then obviously cheap hosting, $10 domain, plus $59 for Elementor for the year, That's very good value. So let's publish this. Also, a good thing about Elementor is you do have version history, so you can always roll it back. But if we go to the WordPress dashboard, let me show you how to actually create a post. So you can do new post up here, or posts, add new here. Now this is where things get interesting. So if you're targeting best roofers in Seattle, then put text here. Use ChatGPT, use whatever you want. I've got loads of videos on my channel about how to create SEO content that actually ranks. And then we can publish that here. View post. So you get the idea here, and we've got the related posts here. And that also means if we go back to our homepage, that blog post, why is this not coming up with our changes? Yes, we haven't reset the homepage yet. That's important. Let me show you how to do that. So currently we've still got that basic WordPress homepage no one likes. So what we need to do is go to dashboard, and then we go to appearance, themes. And we want to customize our current theme. I don't actually like that editor. First, let's set our theme to either Generate Press or Cadence as we installed. They're just easier to use generally. Now we can go to Customize. So already, even if you don't have Elementor, you can actually customize some themes like Cadence and Generate Press much easier. Now what I want to do is go to Homepage Settings, and it currently says your homepage displays your latest posts. So there's the blog post we created, but I actually want the page I designed. So a static page, and that's going to be, the automatic name was Elementor 9. I tend to just create a new page and call it home. And that is then imported in our new homepage. So now we publish that. So if I now go to the homepage, gpt3.com, that page we created is now here. And you can see it's brought in our blog post, Best Roofers in Seattle. So this is fully customizable. I've done a really basic job so far. If we go to edit with Elementor, you can actually import a template. I generally don't like doing that on the grounds that you then have a load of sample text you've basically got to edit manually. But if we go to templates, pages, now most of these are pro only, but if you get pro, you get access to all of those. But this one actually looks pretty decent, wireframe, so we can insert that. I have to actually register your account to do that. So I've connected, and now it says apply the settings of this page to this override design layout. I normally just say apply, whatever. If it doesn't work, we can fix it, or we can roll it back. So this has now given us that sample template. Already looks much better than what I did. So I can now just go in and delete the sections I added. So you get the idea. Elementor is fully customizable. So images, we can then upload an image. There's me. Now when dealing with images, I do recommend, it's probably going a step far for this tutorial, but you need to keep your images optimized. Don't download your images from your camera that are 25 megabytes big or whatever. For this website, you're only serving an image that's that big. Even if someone's looking at this on their TV screen, it's only going to be that big. So you don't need a massive post size image. So there are plugins that can help with this, but generally keep everything you upload to the website really, really small. So there's online image resizers you can use. There's also a service called Tiny JPEG. But like I say, there are tools I recommend in the description below for actually optimizing your images and optimizing your site speed. But if you do want to do it manually for the time being, I generally do, a lot of your photos will be PNG formats. They tend to be very big. So I just Google convert PNG to JPEG, use an online tool to do that. Then there's tiny JPEG with a panda. This will turn even big JPEGs into tiny JPEGs and compress them without actually losing any quality. So then you can just upload those here. So I'll do more of a full Elementor tutorial later, but this just gives you the bare bones of how to actually create a website that is now capable of ranking on Google without getting trapped into a clunky, unusable system. This is part 1 of my SEO for Beginners tutorial. So don't forget to subscribe, comment below if you've got any questions. I do continually check those and make sure I'm adding more and more content to address more and more questions. So I'll be bringing lots more tutorials for you of how to build your website from the ground up, get started, and get those sales coming in from Google.